In this video, I'm going to show you how to plot quadratic graphs using a Casio FX-991EX calculator, which is a calculator I highly recommend for GCSE and A-level maths. My name is Sunil Tanner. I'm an author and tutor. I'm available for one-to-one tuition, both online and in person. I live in Buckinghamshire, England. Okay, let's have a look at the question. It says, complete the table of values for y equals x squared plus x minus 6. Now, technically, this type of question could come up in both a calculator and a non-calculator paper, but it's probably much more likely to come up in a calculator paper. So what you would do here is, if you were doing it without a calculator, you'd have to work out what's, for example, x squared plus x minus 6 is when x is 1. So you do 1 squared plus 1 minus 6, and you'd put the value in here. You'd have to do the same thing for 3 and so on, which you can do, but it's tedious and, of course, error-prone if you're doing it without a calculator. Most of the recent Casio calculators, except for the very low-end models, have a very good table function built in. The more simpler calculators either may lack it or it may be very awkward to use. So again, this calculator is the best current one I've got, and it's relatively cheap if you shop around. I got mine for just over £11 on eBay, brand new. Okay, so how do we do the table function? What you do is you press menu, and then you look for the table function, which in this one is mode 9. So you can either press 9 or you can scroll down until you find table here. And if you scroll down, you have to press equals to choose it, otherwise just press 9. On my older Casio calculator, I press mode, and you press either, it gives you a list of, it says 1 is this function, 2 is that function, 7 or 2 is table, depending on which Casio calculator you've got in the older models. Okay, so let's continue now. So now asking me what f of x is. So in this case, f of x is really a synonym for y. So I need to enter the formula x squared plus x minus 6. So the way that I do this is use the alpha key. And if you look at the right-hand bracket, see, you can see, you may be able to see there's a little red x on it. It's probably difficult to see on the video. So that's how I can enter the letter x. So I'll do alpha, and then that x button. And I want to make a square, so I can use the square button, plus x, so alpha x, and then minus 6. And then I press equals to say I've done. Now this calculator can actually plot more than one, give you a table of more than one function at the same time for more than one line or curve. But so it gives you a chance of doing f for the first one, g for the second one. I don't need the second one, so I will press equals to skip over that. And now it asks me where my table starts. My table starts at minus 3, so I enter minus 3 and press equals. The table ends at 3. So I press 3 and press equals, and the numbers in the table, the x values go up by 1 each time. And now I get a little screen that the first column is the item number 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, telling me where I am in the table, so I can pretty much ignore that. The second column tells me the value of x. So I see when x is minus 3, f of x is 0. So I can copy that into the table. When x is minus 2, f of x is minus 4. When x is minus 1, f of x is minus 6. When x is 0, f of x, or y, is minus 6, which matches the data I was given in the question. When it's 1, I get minus 4. When it's 2, it's 0 again, which again matches what was given in the question. And when it's 3, the value here is 6. Okay, I'm now ready to plot the points. One thing here is whenever you have a quadratic, something with the form of x squared plus or some number of x squared, some number of x's and a number on the end, you should expect it to be a parabola, which is either this U shape or upside down U shape, which is actually symmetrical down the middle. So if it doesn't look like that, you've done something wrong or you've entered the formula wrong. Do remember, of course, that the whole parabola might not be shown, so you might just see a part of it maybe looking like that bit with this bit off the outside of the graph. But you should in general expect to see this U shape. Okay, so let's start plotting now. So what we see so we do minus 3 along the corridor, 0 up the stairs, which will be there. Minus 2 along the corridor, minus 4 for the next point, which will be here. Minus 1 along the corridor, minus 6, which will be here. 0 across and minus 6. 1 along the corridor, minus 4 down the stairs. 2 along the corridor, 0. And 3 along the corridor and 6 up the stairs. So here you can see, if I join it up, I'm going to try and use a smooth curve through all the points, smooth as you can. Up to there it looks symmetrical. Now because I've got an extra bit on one side, which would be off the graph on the left hand side, there's a sort of an extra bit on this side of the graph, but that's the shape. So I've now drawn the graph, which was part A of the question. Now part B of the question says use the graph to find estimates of the solutions to the equation x squared plus x minus 6 equals minus 2. So if you look at the original, I had x squared plus x minus 6 is equal y. Of course, y was on the left-hand side. So you can see here that y corresponds to minus 2. So all I have to do is look for where y is minus 2 on the graph, which is here, and I can see where the curve is at those 2 points. So when it's minus 2, the x value looks like it's about minus 2.6, or there's an x value over here which looks like about plus 1.6. So those are the two values. So x is equal to minus 2.6 or plus 1.6. Finally, if I want to go back to the normal mode in the calculator to move on to the next question, I would press menu, and I can either go back up to the calculate or just press 1 for calculate, and the calculator is back how it was when I was entering normal calculations. I'm going to do a couple more questions like this to show you how to do those. So the next question is very, very similar. We've got a table here. It says complete the table of values for y equals x squared minus 3x minus 1. So menu, go down to table mode and press equals. Now it asks me for f of x or the y equation. So alpha x squared minus 3 alpha x minus 1 here. Press equals, ask me for g of x, the second one, I don't need that. This time the table starts at minus 2, so minus 2, press equals. Table ends at 4, so press 4 and equals. Again, this table is going up in steps of 1, so press 1 and equals now, and it gives me the table here. So when x is minus 2, the y value is 9. When x is minus 1, the y value is 3. Then I have minus 1, minus 3, I have to scroll down a little bit, minus 3, minus 1, and then 3. So if we plot the points here, we have minus 2 across and 9 up, or minus 2 along the corridor, 9 up the stairs, minus 1 and 3, 0 and minus 1, 1 and minus 3, which is there, 2 and minus 3, and then 3 across minus 1, and 4, 3. And if you see, I try and draw a smooth curve through them, and you can see again, if I draw it reasonably well, it's symmetrical. Of course, in this case, there's a little extra bit that would be off the right-hand side of the graph, past it, so it looks like that. So part B, use the graph to find an estimate of the turning point of the graph. So the turning point is where the graph has a maximum or minimum, the lowest point on the graph. So it looks like it's about here. I've probably drawn it a little bit wonky, but I'm going to guess it's 1.5 across, and let's say minus 3.7. So minus 1.5 minus 3.7. I'm saying it's there. Yeah? Okay, and I'm going to do one more question now. Right, so here, complete the table of values for y equals x squared minus 2x minus 5. So I'm already in table mode, so what I can do is press clear, and I can edit the function, or I can start again by going to table mode. And now I'll enter f of x is equal to x squared minus 2x minus 5, so alpha x squared minus 2 alpha x minus 5, press equals. I don't need a g of x. The table starts at minus 3. The table ends at 3, so press 3 equals. Going up in steps of 1 again, so 1 equals, and then press equals to get my table of results. So here I get when x is minus 3, f of x is 10, which is the y value. When x is minus 2, f of x or y value is 3. Then I get minus 2, minus 5, and then I have to scroll a little bit. I get minus 6, minus 5, minus 2. And now I can plot the points. So on the grid, draw the graph is the next question. So you're going to have, let's start from the left-hand side, minus 3 across and 10 up is there. Minus 2 across and 3 up is there. Minus 1, minus 2 would be there. 0 and minus 5. 1 and minus 6. 2 and minus 5. 3 and minus 2. Now I draw a nice smooth curve through all the points. And the next question is, use the graph to find an estimate of the solution to the equation x squared equals 2x plus 5. Now in a quadratic equation, what you normally want to do is put everything on the left-hand side, or on one side, and then equals 0. So if I subtract 2x and subtract 5, I have x squared minus 2x minus 5 is equal to 0. So if you now look at the original was y equals all of that stuff. So I have to look for where y is 0, which I can see here. Oh, there'll be a solution here. There'll be one a bit further across off the right-hand side of the graph, but it says a solution. So in this case, the only solution I can find from the graph I've got is x is equal to minus 1.5. I can probably see that if they wanted a second one, I'd probably have a bit more graph paper and I'd get plus 3.5 or something like that.